lovely female photographers, and we're going to ask some questions. But to start off, so it's not awkward, can everyone start with their name and what photography you specialize in?
Alrighty, so my name is Nhaan Ngo, and I specialize in fashion photography.
My name is Amy. I specialize in people, portraits, lifestyle photography.
My name is Victoria English, and I specialize in fashion photography as well.
My name is Jade Pike, and I specialize in concert photography.
My name is Daniela Martin, and I also specialize in fashion photography.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I specialize in fashion photography.
Hi, my name is Liz, and I specialize in fashion, concerts, and film photography.
Hi, my name is Berona, and I specialize in portrait and fashion photography.
Hello, my name is Valentina, and I specialize in concert and just film and a lot of other things. I want to do everything.
I'm Danielle. I do fashion and portrait photography.
Amazing. Thank you guys for doing this. So if you'd like to, we'll start on this end with Danielle. Okay. So how did your photography journey begin?
Originally, I was a model, but I got over it a little more and I wanted to take control, so I started behind the camera.
How did your journey begin?
Honestly, my journey was kind of like all over the place. I picked up a camera when I was really young, and for concert photography, I started when I was in like 10th grade, and just going to local shows at really small bar venues, and just started shooting from there.
Anyone else want to explain their journey?
Well, for me, it started out as a hobby. I just got into it just for fun, but I just really loved fashion and portrait stuff. So I was just like, okay, this is a way that I can express myself and just like be the creative person that I am. And I just like fell in love with this. I can't imagine doing anything else.
Okay. So I started actually as a photographer assistant with my mom's one of her exes. He still does photography, but he's the one who got me my first camera, and I was like 15 years old. I didn't start doing it like seriously until like 2020, but I was always like playing around either in front or behind the camera since I was like 15. So a lot of fun.
I started in high school, but it was just like my 50 millimeter, and that was it. And I was just taking photos with my friends. But then COVID hit, and I realized that concerts were a thing, and I could no longer go to them. And then I started going to concerts, and I realized that concert photography, and that was awesome. My start.
Same question?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, my journey has been also, I think, all over the place too. It started about a year and a half ago. Really just started off of inspiration from, my daily life, like just taking photos through my phone of like adventurous moments, joyous moments. And that just kind of brought me to start taking photos of like people, their moments, their expressions. And from there, it's just taken on. And yeah, here we are.
Okay, I would say my journey began, I don't know, maybe like 5th grade. My mom got an iPhone, and I would steal it. And I would be like, Tori and my 2 little cousins, like, let's go outside, let's go take some photos. And we would go take photos. And then not until middle school, when my uncle, he got me, he had a Sony, and he gave it to me, and he taught me every setting I need to know, literally anything I need to know about photography. I became obsessed. And now I'm a photographer. That's pretty much it. But yeah, thank you, Uncle Emery.
Well, being a girl, I naturally love taking pictures all the time. I got my first camera starting a YouTube channel, which we're not going to get into. So I always take pictures of my friends just for fun. But I got into modeling first about a year ago, and then a few months later, like after working with so many photographers, getting to see what it's actually like being behind the camera, it inspired me to actually pick up my camera and started using it as well for photography. So that is how I started.
So my journey started when I was around 13. Me and my dad, we were early to a dinner reservation and we went into a pawn shop and I wanted this camera. I don't have no idea why, but I wanted this camera so bad that I bothered him until he got it for me. And after I got it, I started shooting nonstop, and here I am now shooting concerts and film and everything I love. So.
Okay. I'd definitely say I was like always inspired since I was little. I wanted to take photography classes, but I just never did. And then COVID hit and I'd just gotten a camera. I picked it up from someone at UCF that was selling it and I had nothing else to do. So I was just shooting during COVID and yeah, it turned into a hobby and passion and now it's my job. So yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna start on either end. So, and I'm gonna ask a specific question. So, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Okay. So, how does it feel to be a female in a male-dominated career?
It's definitely nerve-wracking, I'd say, because I feel like women just get each other, and it's not easy to get along with guys all the time, especially when they think they know everything and they don't know like our personal experiences within the field. But I'm happy to be part of it and kind of break that barrier and be with amazing women that are also breaking the barriers and doing things that are different and yeah, just making some change, you know?
I agree with her. I mean, women, we bring a whole different perspective. So it's definitely like really cool to see what we could bring to the table as well. You know?
For sure. Anyone have anything else to add? If not, you're totally fine.
I feel empowered. You know, I feel bold, brave, and courageous to be able to step into something like this, and alongside meet powerful women doing the same. You know, expressing themselves through this art. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the next question. Elizabeth, so do you prefer film or digital? That's a big thing.
All right. So I would definitely say I prefer film more so because it's almost like a mystery every time you go to get a role developed. It's like a little surprise. You don't know how they're going to come out, if they're going to come out at all, if you just wasted $30 or it's so fun. And I feel like when you do get them back, you're like, oh my gosh, I did that. And it's just no hate to digital because I also love shooting digital. But I feel like just the essence that film has where you have to like wait for your results is just like so fun.
Does anyone else shoot film that wants to speak on that?
You can also just tell what's digital and what's film. And I also like that film is just like not just 35 millimeter film or 120, like it's like Polaroids and so many other types of cameras, like 60 millimeter film. Like I really want to learn how to do like movies on that. Like it's just like there's so much possibility with it. And it is nice just getting like that WeTransfer file and you're like, whoa, these slay so hard. But yeah, film all the way.
So I shoot film a little bit with people, but it's a little bit expensive, so you know. So what I do is I'll bring it with me on my travels, and I love to travel, but I'm always like really upset when it's over. And so the thing I like about film is that once we are back and we are unpacking everything, it's like we have the ability to almost extend our vacation because we send it in and we're like, okay, we're waiting. And then once we finally get it back, we're like, remember this moment, remember that moment. So like how she was saying, it's like a surprise. It's literally like, oh my gosh, I forgot we took this picture. So it's memory enhancing, I think.
You know, it's funny that you say that about memory enhancing. It's just I was on a trip and someone told me they're like, you're like missing the moment, like being so worried about your camera and getting the film settings right. And I'm like, no, this is the moment. Like, this is the memory. Like exactly. The memory of me like taking this photo is just like gonna last so much more because when I see the film photo, I'm like, I remember exactly how I like where I was and everything.
Exactly.
I think when you shoot film, I love digital, but when you shoot film, it's more intentional. You can't just go back, look at it, and be like, let me fix this. You have to be very specific with what you're doing and know exactly the shot you want, or you can just have fun with it and let it be like a spur of the moment shot and hope for the best. So that's what I really like about it, and I feel like it's made me a better photographer within digital as well. So yeah, love both.
Yes.
Okay, so Victoria, I have a question. Have you ever felt you weren't good enough because you're a female?
I don't know about being a female, but I've like had moments where I feel like not being good enough. But I don't know. Like I feel like we have the ability, no matter if male or female. But I think it's different for me because I worked in the male dominated industry, like for my real job. So for me, men don't intimidate me. So I actually love working with guys, but just because I'm used to it. But yeah, I don't know. I think that yeah, like it's just a lot of times like if you can find the right people to work with, like they're gonna work with you no matter if it's male or female. So yeah, no need to feel intimidated.
I feel like when I was first starting concerts, I was a little intimidated because you kind of have to not be afraid of getting in there to get the shot. And a lot of the times it was dudes. And I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to think like, who is this girl? Like, what is she doing here? She has no idea what she's doing, which was true. But at the same time, I feel like just breaking that barrier and like being like, okay, I just have to do it. And then once you get in there, like there's really no intimidation at all.
Right.
I think the competition is hard when it comes to music industry, just because like even the music industry is so it's filled with a lot of men, and I know there's like so many bands who like don't prefer a man to be their photographer than a female, and that's something that just like kind of brings you down because it's like, oh, they chose their friend, their homie, like they're not gonna bring me on tour, they're gonna bring a guy. But there's other bands who are like very respectful and will bring in gender, like but about the pit thing, like it's crazy to see how like in Orlando there's like no guys. It's just girls in the pit. So it's really it's literally just girls.
Well, actually, to add to that, you guys have not been around the male photographers in the music scene because I actually shoot a lot of like heavy metal shows and like really hard rock shows. That's where the male music photographers are in the Orlando scene. And I think it's definitely really hard shooting those shows specifically because they kind of will like talk down on you or like look at you like you don't know what you're talking about or like you don't have a place there around them shooting those type of shows because that is like known to be something that men enjoy more. But I think it is very empowering to when I'm able to like come out of those shows and then edit my photos and even like seeing like bands repost the photos and stuff. It's very rewarding in the end.
So since we're on the topic of concert photography, what would you guys say is the most thrilling or challenging part? If you do it, of course.
I'm gonna bring back the pink lighting. I think lighting's probably the hardest thing when it comes to concert photography because it could be just really dim, and then like you gotta bring that f-stop. Like sometimes you only have 2.8, and you're like, man, shutter speed's gotta go low, or like the ISO. But yeah, it's just not knowing what the lighting's gonna be like. I think that's the most intimidating part about a concert.
Is flash allowed?
No.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a local show and like you know the band, you'll be able to use flash, but in a like house, like you'll get kicked out.
Oh no.
I would say the pit again if we're gonna be in the pit. But if we're in the pit and like I've shot like a couple shows where like it wasn't really like full. There was only like 2 or 3 photographers. But there are some shows that I shoot that are just like there's like probably 15 photographers and you have about the space the size of this table to walk and get your shot, and only having 3 minutes or like 3 songs to shoot, you really have to like try and think how can I be different than the 15 other photographers around me? How can I look at this differently? How can I shoot from a different angle? And it's just hard because sometimes where everyone's at is where the most things happening. So you have to be like, how can I capture this in a different way?
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest parts too, is trying to find the most exciting moments to capture, because usually when you're doing concert photography, you only have the first 3 songs to shoot the set. So it's only about 10 minutes to get the content that you need to get. And then, especially when there's a lot of people in the pit, like Liz was saying, it can be very stressful to be like to get yourself in the right moment at the right time, and just like getting in there to get those good shots that you need.
And it's hard to not beat yourself up when like Liz was saying, like you were in this spot of the stage but something crazy was going on that side and you're like, did I really just miss that? And then you just like mourn the photo that you could have had. So that's one thing that's I think is really hard.
I have a question that could go with all of you guys, but how do you feel about being the person in front of the camera instead of behind it?
Well, for me, I've had a little bit of experience with modeling. I kind of started maybe 2 years ago, kind of getting serious with it. But I think it's interesting being in front of the camera because, like, as a photographer, like, it helps me. You just understand like what the model is going through and like what their thought process is, and like just understanding how to make the model feel comfortable. So, like me being in that place, I'm able to experience the same thing they're going through.
Yes, I would have to agree with you definitely on comfort. Being a woman shooting other women, I feel very empowered, and I also feel very cautious as well because I don't want to step over anyone's boundaries. But I do feel confident as a photographer, and I do feel confident as a model as well. So either or, I'm okay with. But if I could choose one, photography would definitely be it. Just because being in control is a completely different energy than being in front of the camera, whereas you don't know what's happening. Whereas being behind the camera, I know exactly what I want to do and exactly what I'm doing.
I'll add the other side of that, the other spectrum. I'm awkward. I feel awkward, but I think it's absolutely necessary so that, as a photographer, you understand what your client goes through, and that allows you to give better direction, stepping in the other side. So, but yeah, I'm definitely awkward.
Well, for me, I definitely like being in front of the camera more. But I agree, like it helps me become a better photographer and model. It helps me pose my models. So it's like really good to live best of both worlds. So yeah, I do prefer being in front of the camera, but it's an amazing experience to witness both sides.
Anyone else want to elaborate on that? Okay, so a question for you all again. How would you describe your photography style? Describe it.
Moody, intimate. Yeah.
So I have like a style that's kind of like all over the place. Like one day I'll be like, I want to be like ethereal. Sometimes I want to be like dark vibes. Like I love like sexy shoots with like females or males. I don't do boudoir, but I do like that kind of like sometimes like sexy stuff. But I wouldn't say like I'm a boudoir photographer. My look is just all over the place, so I love it.
I guess I would say mine is just like bright and fun. Like I love bright colors in photos, even though I'm the person who wears all black almost every single day. But I don't know, I just love when everything is just bright and colorful. The clothing is bright and colorful, but I don't know, I just bright, just very bright.
I would say if I could put my style of photography into one word, it would be elegance. I love elegance. I love feeling exquisite. Even if it's something simple, it's just the feeling that it gives you is what I always try to perceive in my pictures.
I'd say like, okay, maybe like minimalist, just because I'm indecisive. So I feel like I change my mind very easily. So if I have too much, I wish I could be like the person that has a bunch of color, but I feel like if I did, then like 2 months later I'd hate it, you know? So I'm like, for me, I like a very like minimalist style with like pops of color or pattern or texture. And then I love film. So anything film, like very like just raw, grainy. Yeah, that's my style probably.
For me, I feel like I really enjoy just really bold colors, harsh. I love harsh lighting. So just like allowing like the colors and just the figures and the shapes of the clothing, just like enhancing like all of that. And yeah, I just really enjoy the harsh colors and the bright, bold colors as well.
I feel like kind of with Toria, I'm all over the place. Some days, again, shooting concerts, dark lighting, very moody, and then other days I'm like, let's shoot with a white backdrop and good lighting, and I'm just like all over the place. But I feel like the ultimate goal that I always try to achieve in my photography is to like have somebody look at it and be like, whoa, or like see a film photo and be like transported to that photo or like to that memory. And I feel like that's just always what I try to accomplish in my
I guess I'm the only one that didn't. Same with film photos. I just like making it seem like they're in the moment. I've gotten a lot of people say that to me, and it makes me feel so much better that it's just like it just looks raw, like it looks like you're there. But like my style wise, with like I'm a Gaussian blur queen. Like I'm always using that little blur. I just like when my photos look glowy.
So I'm kind of all over the place as well. It just depends on like what the vibe is, the outfit. I do mixture of like clean shots for like model portfolios, but I also like to focus on like the fashion part and getting someone in a really sick outfit and make them feel like badass. So I would love to do something cool with that, but other than that, yeah, it's just like depends on what the vibe is.
Okay. I guess I can share too, but I think that my concert photography, especially, I've been leaning more into the very bright and bold, like colorful shots. I've been playing a lot with colors when I'm editing my photos because I've ran into a lot of situations where the lighting and the colors are not exactly what I want them to be at that time. So I will completely change the color of the photos and just be very experimental. I think experimental is a good word to describe my style.
Okay, so why did you guys all choose photography? Like, what makes it so special and unique to you?
I guess I can answer this. The first thing that comes to mind is just trying to capture a moment, especially with concerts, because those are very memorable moments that people want to remember for a very long time, or going to make memories with their friends, with their family, and like with the community of being at a concert. So just trying to like capture those moments, that's what I aspire to do, and that's why I feel like photography chose me. That I didn't choose photography, but that I was just able to find that I was capturing those moments, and people were loving that they could reminisce on the moments of the concerts. And the artists too are like love to see those shots from the show where they interact a lot with the crowd, or it's just like a very special moment or intimate moment in one of their songs. And I think that, yeah, that's why I chose photography.
I can go. Well, I chose photography just because it's like we've said here. It definitely makes you not only be in the moment, but take that moment with you, and it allows you through just an image, like capture that moment, freeze it forever, like a lifetime, for the past, for the present, for the future, and to be able to feel what you felt in that moment through a photo. It could be 15 years from now, 10, 20. You feel joy, you feel sadness, fear, whatever it is that you felt in that moment, you're able to feel it at any point in your life. And so I just think it's an art, it's a way of an expression. And yeah, I definitely love it.
I feel like one of the reasons I love photography so much is because it's when I take a photo, it's the way I view the world. It's the way I like to say it's an elevated viewpoint. So like I just feel like it's so documentary, and that's another way I just love photography is like documenting, like whether it's a shoot and you're documenting a cool outfit, or you're documenting a concert, like she said, or you're documenting a, a hike or a tree or anything. I just feel like having your viewpoint in the world is so important. And that is also why photography is so unique, because everybody sees the world so differently.
So I've worked with like a lot of models who, like when they shoot with me, it's like their first shoot ever, and they come in really nervous, which is normal. But it's really amazing to see like their reaction afterwards, and when they get the pictures, it's like a whole new person. They get more comfortable. They start to love it. It's also just like as a person who gets bored very easily, photography just keeps the creative train going constantly, and you can never like go wrong. It's just like you just gotta do it right. But like, you know what I mean? You just gotta do it right. But you could, like, there's nothing wrong. Like so endless ideas when it comes to photography. That's why it's just it's fun.
Everyone basically said what I was going to say, but documenting I feel like is the most important thing for me, and it's so special because I can't wait to like show my kids like pictures I've taken of like my best friends and me, or like my family and I, like on trips or anything like that. So I feel like capturing that moment, especially because that bad memory, really helps. And yeah, just getting creative. You can't, like you said, make any mistakes. It's really all up to you. You can always change it afterwards. If you make a mistake before and post, you can always edit it and try to work with it. So it allows you to grow a lot and make mistakes and have fun with it. So yeah.
So I want to add, because this is something that I randomly thought about one day. So we me and my husband just got married. We actually had like an elopement, and then but we also got like legally married. And while I was looking through the pictures, I thought like to myself, like, I never thought of this, but the people that take our pictures, like, or you taking the people's pictures, they're going to be with you the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? So like Alicia took our pictures for our wedding. She will always be a part of that moment. Like she'll be like, she almost is like a tattoo. Like she's never going away, because those pictures are never going away. And so like it's such a special thing to be like, I was part of their life for at least just a little bit of time. Like I was a part of their life for just a little bit. Even if you don't like stay in contact with them, you're always gonna remember, like, that was my photographer. Like no matter what happens, like that's her. Like, so it's a really cool moment to be like, yeah, like I was part of their life for a little bit of time. So.
We'll stay together.
Yeah. So I have two more questions. So, so the next question I have, is there any other artistic fields you work in besides photography?
So, actually, I run a music publication, a music magazine, and I kind of bring in every kind of creative ability that I have built over my lifespan into making that magazine. So, I've actually taught myself a lot of graphic design, and then doing even just like creative direction, and honestly, like finding other artists of different mediums, like videographers, even other photographers that might be more editorial or creative photographers, and even like painters and illustrators. I try to bring everybody into the magazine and like kind of make it a very artistic platform. And so even like I used to paint and like used to take art classes in school back in the day, so I'm able to kind of like take all of those skills that I've built over time and put it into one outlet. So I think that's really cool.
I would say that I definitely love being a director as well as a stylist. And I feel like they all coincide with each other, because I can direct a shoot, I can style it, and I can shoot it as well. So everything is pretty much one thing, but I'm very happy where I am, and I'm very proud to be able to tap into all of my different passions. Because I used to want to do everything. I'm in school for graphic design, so I'm like trying to really narrow down what I'm wanting to do. But I feel like I'm on the right path, and I think that I'm I know exactly where I want to go, and I know exactly how I'm gonna do it. It's just a matter of how and when. So yeah.
So I would say the same thing. I like to style, be the creative director. So it's like really nice having like something in every little book, and it works together so well. But recently, I've also been getting into music, trying to write my own music, learning to produce my own music. But I've always loved, so yeah, I've always loved to sing. Singing is probably one of my biggest passions. I just don't share it with the world. I'm not too scared, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. After this. Yeah, so
We just created a band.
we should. We should.
I do photography right now, but I'm getting into videography. I did a lot of like video while I was on tour with a band, and it was super fun. And I realized that I really want to do music videos. I used to do like, I don't know if you guys used Video Star when you were younger. Yes. I used to do those all the time, and I never realized that that was like a job. Like it was just fun that I would do something fun I would do when I was like 12 years old. But I really want to get into that field of music videos.
I just want to tap in about Video Star. That's actually really how I got started. Is I had a YouTube channel where I was making video stars, which was really embarrassing. But I thought when I was a lot younger that I wanted to make music videos and be a music video director. That didn't last. But I guess that kind of like translated over to becoming a concert photographer. So yeah, I just thought that was funny that she brought it up.
Anyone else have any good talents? Okay, so to wrap it up, the last question that I would love all of you to answer is, what advice do you have for upcoming photographers? Any advice at all?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. I've learned so much from just people around me. Like Liz has taught me stuff with flash and like film. Another photographer like taught me about like strobe lights, and it's just like it really is just a community, and you just have to help each other. Like none of us are gatekeepers, and that really helps us just grow. So if you find like a thing I would say someone who's starting out is just like take as much as advice as you can, and also share the advice that you have.
Don't like constrain yourself to like one style, just test out all different types, like weddings or fashion, family, and then you'll never know like until you try it that that's something you really enjoy. But same thing, like ask for help, just like play around with all like the editing stuff, and then you kind of figure it out yourself, like instead of, well, I mean, watch videos, but just play around with it.
I would say bring your camera everywhere, or just your phone. Literally bring it everywhere. I know when I started, I took it everywhere. I took it to Disney. I took it to the park. I just bring it everywhere and shoot as much as you can. Beg your family, your friends, like, let's go outside. We're gonna take some photos, or just bring your camera everywhere and don't stop, because you'll find so many new stuff that you like. Like you said, just try different types of things, because I tried so many things and I found out like I'm not very good at it, so I'm not gonna do it. But then once I found that what I'm good at, it's just a whole new world once you figure out what you like to do. But yeah.
For me, it's pretty much the same thing as you were saying. I would say just like it's really important to practice. You never really understand what you're good at, what your talents are, if you don't go out and try. I mean, like you said, like you can try something, you think you're really into it, but then you can like suck at it, or you can try something you would never even like think about doing, and you're probably like amazing with it, So you have to like really practice and develop your style that way.
I'd say do it. If there's something that you're curious about, just try it. You never know what you're good at until you actually try it. If you make a mistake, you made the mistake. Just learn from it. I think experience overall, it's what's going to take you to the place you need to be, right where you need to be. So, just go for it.
I would say experiment. Experiment as much as you can, see what you like, see what you don't like. And once you find what you like, think about how you can make that mountain taller for the women before you and the women coming after you.
I feel like my piece of advice would probably be to not compare yourself to other photographers, because I feel like with photography,
Everybody.
I feel like the photography is a very saturated market, but like I mentioned earlier, that's what makes photography so fun because everybody has such a unique style and everybody is so talented in a different way. All these women are so incredibly talented in different ways, you know? And I feel like, especially starting out, you will look at a photographer and try to copy what they did. And although that's fine, and like, obviously, like, you want to learn from them, like, take that and make it your own and like try different things. Like, I remember, I don't know if you guys know the Brandon Wolfel fairy lights trend. Like, I know, yeah, that was like, I know so many people. I am guilty of falling into the trap of the fairy lights and trying everything with fairy lights. But I feel like just remember that you are unique and your style is going to be unique, and just to try it and don't compare yourself.
I'd say to learning from others. YouTube is a great source, free education right there. You can learn thousands of things on YouTube, and especially photography. You don't need a degree necessarily to learn it. So I think, especially if you want to learn how to use different settings, even just marketing your business, I think you can learn so much from people, and there's a lot of free resources. So use them.
So I think for specifically anybody that wants to go into concert photography, it can be very intimidating, very hard to work your way into that field. But I would say just like get connected with your local music scene if that's something that you want to pursue, because that's where you'll start to build your portfolio up, bring your camera to as many shows as you can. They will probably let you in with it at the small bar shows, club shows, with any local bands, and just make those connections with the bands. Talk to them after the shows, and that goes with any type of photography as well, to network as much as you can and make connections with your clients, because that will end up helping you to build your business in the future.
I would say from personal experience, find your community. So there's going to be a lot of people that are also photographers that are going to be like, they don't support you. They don't, they don't support you pretty much. And so the thing is, like, it's going to get discouraging because you're going to be like, oh, I'm not good enough. They don't see my stuff. They don't see me as a photographer. I'm not like them. So like, pretty much like, don't compare yourself, but it's so important to find your community, like this group right here. Like you want to find people that are going to be like, I got your back. I don't care if you need help with something. You don't seem like a noob when you don't know how to use Flash, like, or you don't know how to use manual. Like, here's the settings. But if you find the people that are going to support you, then you're going to go like far, because you're never going to give up at that point. A lot of times you're going to want to give up. Don't. Find your community and stick with it.
Thank you guys so much for doing this. It was great talking to you. Yeah, that's all. That's all the questions. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lynette Ortiz. I'm an editorial photographer based in Orlando, Florida. Here are my top 3 tips for new and beginning photographers. Number 1 would be post what you want to attract. Don't post photos of newborn babies if you want to be a fashion photographer. It's misleading to your audience, and it's just going to end up getting you work that you didn't want to do in the first place. Next would be collaborate with your local MUAs, stylists, hairstylists. All these people can create a really bomb photo, so it's really important to make connections and stay close to these people, because at the end of the day, we're all helping each other out. Next, don't be afraid to recommend other photographers. Sometimes when you get an inquiry, you kind of want to hold on to it and get the client. If it's not your style of work, don't be afraid to let it go and pass it on to another photographer who would fit the client's needs much better. At the end of the day, you would want that done for you, so it's always good to pass on work that isn't meant for you.
Hey everyone, my name is Benny Renee and I'm a photographer based in Florida. The advice I would give to a young photographer is, number 1, have fun and enjoy the journey of growth. Don't think, My work's not good enough because it doesn't look like so-and-so's work. You have your own unique style and way of seeing things, and you find that by experimenting. Secondly, I would say pay attention to lighting. If you're wanting to photograph outside, predetermine the time of day you want to shoot because it plays a major role in the end product that you're going to create. If you're in studio, think to yourself, what kind of emotion am I trying to evoke here? And how can I place my lighting to set that tone? I believe those are two important things to keep in mind as a young photographer. And also, remember that growing never stops. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself, and peace and love to you on your journey.